what is the purpose of life? We're going to find out today on The Girls. We have a very special guest. We have an author with us here who happens to be related to me and my mom. My cousin Eddie Bednarz is joining us. But first, take a sneak peek at what the book is all about.
How do we travel through life? The Journey to Discover the Meaning of Life by author Dr. Edward Bednarz will show you how several different people discovered answers for themselves. Available at tatepublishing.com.
All right, so that was a little sneak peek of what the book is all about. So Eddie, thanks for joining us on The Girls.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
It's very nice to be able to have you here. We've been talking about this book that you've written, and we have a lot of people who are watching and a lot of people who know you in our area. Dr. Edward T. Bednarz III, your official title, and of course we call you E3 because there is an E4.
Yes.
So being part of the family, we've always been intrigued by a lot of things that you've done. You've been very inquisitive as a young boy, and you were maybe 4 years old when you took your first toaster apart and put it back together?
Something like that.
So you've always been involved with mechanical things. So everybody who's watching, give them a little background on what it is that you do and where you've been in your life.
I went to Wilkes University. I know it's a rival of King's.
Whoa!
And I graduated with my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, 2001. Then I worked for the Army down in Maryland for 8 years. Had a great career as a mechanical engineer. I got my doctorate along the way in mechanical engineering, not philosophy. And then I came back to the area, and I'm fortunate now I'm teaching at Wilkes, my alma mater, and enjoying life there.
So you came full circle.
I came full circle, yeah.
And Wilkes is an excellent school, just, you know.
And now along the way, while you were at Toby Hanna, you published some articles there as well, but they're not things that the average person would read, of course.
No, yeah, as part of my dissertation for my mechanical engineering degree, I published a lot of technical articles on load identification using strain gauges and probably boring stuff to the average reader, but that really helped me write a fiction book, funny enough, because in technical publications, every word means something.
Every word means something. And you also have another achievement. You have a patent that you achieved. And what is that patent for?
It's a safety brace to keep an antenna up in the air for identifying missiles. So it was one of the projects I was tasked with at Toby Hanna, and I was very excited to follow it through from design to testing and then to get a patent, and I'm very proud of it. I hang it on my office and something that my students could see.
We're very proud of you too, because you're involved in the safety of keeping all of the people who serve our country, keeping them safe.
Yeah, so it's nice to know your background, and we're telling you the background because the book is called The Journey to Discover the Meaning of Life, and we're going to get to what this book is all about and how it could actually help you answer some questions maybe in your own life, right? Because with your background, your background isn't in journalism.
No.
And I must say, this is definitely written very well.
Thank you.
Professionally. I know you had a little bit of help with an editor.
Yes, the publisher, Tate Publishing, they've been great all along the way. They're a Christian company, so it's been great to work with them. And the editor really helped with some minor grammatical. My biggest editor has been my mom.
Who's a teacher.
And she's a teacher, and she read it through and gave me a lot of red lines, but I welcomed the constructive criticism, and yeah, I'm very happy how it turned out.
So now you're going to be, or you just turned 35 years old, right? Yes. You have a son who's with us in the audience, who you'll be meeting later. Eddie, the fourth, right?
Yes.
And how old is Eddie?
He's 8 years old, and he's been such a blessing and a joy in my life, and he's definitely one of the main inspirations behind the book as well.
And you have a fiance?
Yes. Her name's Heather. We met last year. I guess to tell you where I wrote the book, I wrote the first part 14 years ago when I was in college. Right. So I was 20 years old, 21 years old, and I had a certain view for a fiction story loosely based on things that happened in my life, but mainly fiction. I put the first part of the book down and said this was something creative I did. When I met Heather last year, I was in love and I felt inspired to write, and she was my muse. Yeah. So I just started picking up the story where I left off and then tied it all together, and it's just one large story of a family and how different things that happen to them, coincidences, and love stories. So I think it's a great story.
It's an easy read. It's a nice read, and my mom and I both read the book, right? So
I
you
read
can
the book. I
see
picked up the
difference.
book when you sent it to me. He sent me the proof copy, and so I had it before it was available for sale. And I read the book, and read a few pages, and I thought, well, I'll just read a couple pages. And then I read a couple more, and then I couldn't put the book down. So in 3 hours, I read the whole book. And I have to tell you that I would like the second book now, because you intrigued me. I
No
mean,
pressure.
your style of writing, the characters who were in there and everything, not to give away anything in the book, because it really does. It has a lot of twists and turns. It's like a roller coaster of emotions, too. So it was very well written. And Janine mentioned that you started writing when you were 14. What inspired you when you were 14 to start writing a book?
Well, I wrote it, part of it when I was in college. Just I was on interning for my mechanical engineering degree, and
You didn't have enough to do, so you needed to write this book.
I guess it was a good break from all that technical and physics, and it was just I could go out in the summer and look at the trees and just be inspired to start writing paper and pen. No laptops or anything, just old style of
Old style writing, just your thoughts come to paper.
Right, and it just and when I write these fiction stories, I look at the characters, and a lot of my story really relies on dialogue between characters. So it's just as if I'm an observer in the room watching them talk, and I write down exactly what I'm seeing happening. So I'm not one of them, or I'm not in their heads, but I'm just watching them as they're talking back and forth to each other.
So how you did when you were a kid, when you had the little combat guys and you were playing with your soldiers and whatever, creating a story there, you actually put it onto paper now.
I suppose, yeah. I've never really thought of it that way.
Creative.
but-
You're always creative. You always had the Lego set and the engineering sets and whatever. And your son, as I must say, he has taken after you in that
Spitting
department.
image.
Very creative, very imaginative, and always busy. Always busy. Your mind is always going.
Well, how do we travel through life? How are we to make decisions that lead to happiness? What is our purpose here? I'm sure those are questions that you've asked at some point in your own life. And our guest today is Dr. Eddie Bednarz III. And when we come back, we are going to explore the book and tell you why you should pick one up today. You're watching The Girls. We'll be right back.
You're watching The Girls, and if you just joined us, we have with us today Dr. Edward T. Bednarz III. He is an author of the book, The Journey to Discover the Meaning of Life. He's a local guy here in the Hazleton area, born and raised in this area, went to school in our area. He now is an assistant professor at Wilkes University, where, of course, he graduated from, and top honors, I must say. Everything you did was top honors. High school, college, SATs, everything's been the top.
Show off.
So we have something to learn from you, from The Journey to Discover the Meaning of Life. And this book, Janine has a lot of notes inside. This is the proof copy. But if we could get a close-up of the cover of this book, there's somebody special on the cover of that book that I picked up on right away.
Yes.
Who's that little boy there? That's your son.
Yes, that's little Eddie, and that was down in Allentown with one of my friends and his daughter, and we were walking through the park, and they just started holding hands, and I snapped that picture. That was probably 5 years ago.
I was wondering who the little girl was.
Yeah, and it was just the cutest picture, and it really wasn't the cover of the book originally.
Right, I was going to ask you about that. Did you take that picture with that in mind, or did you just happen to have this picture?
Not
How
at
did it
all.
come about?
When I was dealing with the publisher and we were trying to work on the cover design, they sent me several different covers, and we were going back and forth for probably 2 months. It was a really involved process, and none of the covers really spoke to what the book was, in my opinion, I guess, as the author. And I remembered having this picture with my son, and I said, this is perfect, because a lot of the concepts within the book, children and the journey and the road ahead of them.
That is so neat.
So I thought it just fit perfectly.
And it is so perfect for it. We mentioned before about the actual book itself, how you have various characters in here, and how along the way the characters intertwine and how their lives intersect and how different things happen. There's a lot of great dialogue in here as well. And you have a great imagination as to what's going on with their lives. You have a lot of different notes that were made in here by, you said, your mom. helped you with the editing. And I also see in here that you did dedicate this to your family. You are a family guy.
My family's been so supportive. My parents and Selena and my brother-in-law Brandon. And, yeah, there's too many people.
Yeah, I didn't see my name in here.
I'm sorry.
We have a red pen, and we're going to write in our names.
Write our names at the bottom here.
Special acknowledgements to Aunt Debbie and
My Aunt
Cousin
Sammy, Uncle
Janine.
Sammy, Janine, Sammy, yeah, everyone.
We have to add about 4 more pages on their book. So Selena is here with us too.
Yes.
Your sister, your mom, my Aunt Rosalie, and little Eddie is with us too. So we'll be meeting little Eddie in a little bit. So I took out some excerpts of the book, not to give away the plot, but just to talk about, like we said, the meaning of life and some of the quotes that you put in here. And just knowing you so well and growing up together, it was interesting. The book is fiction, but a lot of what you were all about is incorporating the book. You talk about physics, and even as you were talking about the process of writing your papers, I could see the physics and those parts I just skimmed through. I'm like, this is so Eddie writing his research papers right now. You talk about the pirates in the book, and that's one of your favorite teams.
Yes.
So you mentioned that, but one of the quotes that you had in the book says, progress always involves risk. You can't steal second base and keep your foot on first. And that was one of those quotes in there, again, to make people think about what does that mean in their own lives? What is the purpose of their life? Do we meet people for a reason? Are we in the right profession that we should be in? Where our life is going? When you talk about love and relationships, whether it be on a friendship level or a relationship level. So what does that mean to you? What does that quote mean to you?
There's no easy choices in life.
Right.
And I'm sure everybody can relate to that. So I guess relating back to my personal life, there's been several times where you come to the fork in the road, and where do you go? Do you take the safe choice? Or do you take the risk? So 2 years ago, I was working for the government. I had a stable job for life. It just wasn't a good fit for me. And I decided I want to become a college professor. This is my dream. So that was one of those big steps where I gave up basically a tenured government position to take a visiting college position where I could have been laid off in a year if things didn't work out. But it was worth the risk to me in order to be happy and advance my career. So, and it's paid off. I'm more than happy at Wilkes.
Well, it also has paid off when you're looking at making those decisions that you have the infrastructure and the fundamentals along with, yes, you have a college degree or you have the experience. So you're looking at those paths, making the decision. It is a risk, but it is actually a healthy risk to be making. So I just think this book is for everyone, not because you're my cousin, but just because it really does make you focus on your own life, look at different areas of your own life, and see maybe where, it makes you think in maybe a deeper way than you would really in, your everyday life. Reading the book really makes you stop and think about some of the things that you've done, some of your actions, some of the choices that you've made, some choices that you need to make in your life maybe.
And about how each person who comes into your life is there for a reason. I think that was the biggest thing in the book. Right. We're not traveling this path by ourselves ever. We do believe in God. We do believe that there is a higher power, that we are following some type of a path in some way. But each person that we meet, we can draw so much from that other person if we just stop and take a breath and listen to what they have to offer. And sometimes it affects how we think then and what our choice is going to be. We may have had a whole different plan, and then you meet someone else, you'd say, wait a minute now. I think maybe I could either do that or I could learn from that person, or sometimes they have the answer for you when you're just struggling with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
well, they say that people come in your life for a reason, a season, or for a lifetime. And just reading the book, you really do reflect on the people, your characters in your own life that have come through the doors and out the doors, and why and where and how come, and where your life would be if you made different decisions, where your life is going. And when you said that you wrote the first half before you had children, anyone watching out there, you think differently before you have your children. Right. And then you have children, and I can only imagine imagine having grandchildren, the world, I always say, I wish I had the wisdom and the knowledge of my grandfather, because sitting where he sits, and when we had dinner with him recently, sitting where he sits and knowing everything he knows, wow. To sit there with all of us and have gone through all of that, he's the perfect person to go to for that advice and for that wisdom when you're really looking for it. So we are again with Dr. Eddie Bednarz III. He wrote a book, and it's all about the purpose of life. And we thought he'd be an excellent guest because he's from the area. He's related to us, right? First cousins. And even though he went to Wilkes, and it's a great school, but he should have went to King's. I have to say that, right? We'll be right back. We're talking about the purpose of life right here on The Girls.
Welcome back to The Girls. If you just joined us, you're missing a great show. You'll have to catch us again, but what I would like you to do is run out and get a copy of this book. It is The Journey to Discover the Meaning of Life. We have the author here with us today, Dr. Edward T. Bednarz III. And Dr. Bednarz, I'm going to use your title. Where can people find this great book that we have here, this paperback book?
It's immediately available at the publisher's website at Tate Publishing.
Tate Publishing?
Tate Publishing. And I have personal copies available for sale pre-release. So the actual release date's right before Christmas from Amazon. And yeah, so there's a number of ways they could obtain the copy. I would love to autograph a personal copy if someone wants to get one directly from me.
Okay, so they can get in touch with you through, we'll have some specific sites up on the screen for you there that you can get in touch with Edward himself if you'd like a personalized copy. I know I'm going to have mine personally signed and copied, and it will be available here if anybody wants to give us a call at the station, and you can find out how to get in touch with them. Give us a call, I'm sure we can. The book would make a great Christmas present.
Absolutely.
You know, it's very affordable. It's a very easy read, as we said before. It is paperback, and it's nice to take on a trip. Reading the book itself, we were talking about how all the different characters that you said are fictional. Well, I recognized a couple of things in here from being related to you and being around having the family dinners and whatever, and knowing your mom and dad. Your dad was always the one, keep going, keep going, keep going. And your mom would say, oh, if you're not feeling good, honey, why don't you stay home? Daddy, give him a break, let him stay home, let him relax a little bit. That's in the book. Was it Mom and Dad?
Yeah, that was definitely the inspiration for that.
I know it.
Yes.
And I like how he was diplomatic, and again, not to give away the book, but they're both right. Mom says this and Dad says this, and this is why I should be listening to both of them. Some other of the messages, again, with the purpose of life and looking at this so that people can get their own perspective, obviously, out of the book. One of the excerpts was, we should not be caught up in money, greed, or worry. Instead, enjoy our time on earth with peace and contentment. Coming from this area where, our grandfather worked in the mines, and we grew up, picking vegetables and eating bread and butter and noodles for our dinner and snack. That really has a message behind it where, we grew up in an area where we had not a lot, but we had love.
Right.
And love, not to take your words, but love is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And I think the title of the book, The Journey, I wanted to emphasize that life isn't just about the end destination. We have to enjoy as we're going. We can't say we're not going to be happy until we achieve this goal or until we're here. We have to enjoy where we are now, and family is what brings it all back for us.
And love, talk about that, because in the book, through your experience, and I know everyone can relate to this on wherever they are in their journey of their own life, since we only get one life to live, your definition of love certainly changes over the years through what you experience along the way.
And that's definitely something I talk about as well, that we love our spouse, we love our child, we love our mom. It's all love, it's just a different form of love.
Right.
Just like you love your favorite team. And when you used to make the beer with your mom.
There's a lot of mom's wisdom in the book. Enjoy life to the fullest. And one of the times we were brewing beer, and the beer just go on the carpet, and I'm freaking out, and she said, "It's good for the carpet, Edward," and she started patting it down, and I snuck that line in.
Yeah, your mama, which is Rose Lissant, if you don't know who we're speaking of, she was the greatest person for living life. She taught everybody how to live life because she did live it to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Every day was beautiful, whether it was raining, it was a beautiful rain. If it was snowing, it was a beautiful snow. No matter what, she enjoyed birds and whatever. And you spent a lot of time there with Mama, and you gained a lot of wisdom. I remember the one time you interviewed her.
Yeah.
You had her tell you her story of life, and that was the first time when I thought, oh, I think you're going to write a book someday. And you didn't let us down, you really did. But you were great to even recognize it at a young age, you know, of where to gather some of your knowledge from. And the family get-togethers, you said family is so important to you. You put the book down and then you picked it back up because of what? Love.
Exactly.
Right, and a love that you might have in high school or in your younger years might not be the same as your love as you grow older or get married, or if you're out there and you're married 25, 50 years, that love is a different kind of love, isn't it?
Oh, it is. We just celebrated our 40th year, and I want to tell you, 40 years it's tough. Now you're going.
But congratulations.
Thank you. But you're getting ready to get married,
Yes, I'm excited.
Heather, and tell us all about this.
We just had our pre-Cana, and we're planning the wedding and all the stress that goes along, but we're trying to just enjoy the journey as we go again.
Another journey. I think, Edward, I'd like to ask you what you think, what message you'd like to get across to everyone watching out there if we didn't touch on something that maybe you'd like people to know about this book.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great messages. I like how you touched on before about coincidences. I think people dismiss coincidences. Oh, yeah, these happen all the time. I think this is God's way of maybe directing us a certain way. So I think we should just stop and pause and pay attention when a coincidence enters our life. Maybe this is the person I should be talking to at this moment, or maybe this is the path I should do. I think when we pause, that's when God maybe gives us that little nudge. This is what to do. So
Live in the moment.
exactly,
Pay attention to the people that you are with at that moment,
exactly.
right? And you'll learn a lot about yourself.
So what are you doing now, and where do you see yourself going with this?
I have plans for maybe a follow-up book.
No pressure.
No pressure, but several people have asked me about it, and right now I'm just kind of jotting down ideas, and maybe when the moment strikes, I want to be inspired again to just sit down and start writing.
Maybe we'll make the second
Oh,
book.
maybe. Janine, Jeannine, just so you know.
Oh my God, well your parents must be so thrilled. I mean, they watched all of your sacrifices growing up and your hard work and dedication, and of course your sister. The whole family's just so excited for you. We couldn't be more happy for you.
And speaking
more deserving.
of, let's bring little Eddie up so we
Come
can
on,
introduce
Edward.
the biggest
Now you can
inspiration.
See the face from the back of this little body that's
Over here, buddy.
there you go.
Are you proud of your dad, huh?
Yeah, you're proud of your dad.
He's a little shy. That's okay.
He's 8 years old, right? And where does he go to school?
He goes Pittston.
Okay.
He's in 3rd grade.
Do you have a girlfriend? No.
You have a lot of friends who are girls, but not a girlfriend, right?
Okay.
He's a good kid.
Well, we're going to be having several book signings, and again, you'll be able to catch that either here on Channel 13. You'll see commercials for it. You'll see some promos and advertisings. We'll let you know when that's going to be. You'll be able to go and get a copy personally signed by Edward and ask him any questions, maybe take a couple of pictures, and be some inspiration. I guess you're going to meet a lot of characters along the way.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Okay, thank
and
you.
again, it's What's the Purpose of Life? The book is available for sale, and we were happy to have Eddie on the show with us.
The actual title, though, is The Journey to Discover the Meaning of Life.
Right.
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it everywhere. Just go get it. Great Christmas present. Great gift for yourself. And we're going to continue talking here with Eddie. We'll see you next time on The Girls.